It's a waste of money. Just come up and centrally control it.
So Dawn was saying some really good stuff, so I went and grabbed the camera. Everybody's waiting for me out here this morning. Only problem is that I was up at 6:30 shuttling tucks from the front yard to the backyard and feeding them then. And there's still some food over here. If my other cat up in the woods is here though, I've got a can in my hand to go put up there for him. Hi girls, good morning. Good morning. Well, Tux, I do appreciate that you went back to sleep in your chair after you filled your tummy this morning. Look, sometime yesterday I was talking to either him or Johnny, I don't remember, and I backed up into the refrigerator and I heard it do some beep, beep, beeps, but I didn't do anything about it. It wouldn't be my life if the camera battery didn't die while I was trying to say something important. So anyway, at 2 a.m. when we were going to bed, it was a late night. We got to watching something on TV that was pretty interesting. I noticed the refrigerator sounded funny.
Yeah, she did.
And of course, that became Dawn's problem because I don't know what to do with those buttons on the side. Either water and ice comes out or it doesn't. So I told Donnie, I said, the refrigerator sounds funny. Go listen to it. And he said, I think it's on the high motor, high speed. It's really working hard right now. And he attempted to see why. And it was at -5 in the freezer, which is not what we have it set to.
Right.
We have it set to 0. So I'll let you pick up now.
So I did my best to what I thought set it to 0. And a few minutes later, it was still making the noise. And it was at -6. And so I said, well, I don't know. I must not know how. I mean, this thing only has a beautiful touch UI. I mean, Samsung must have spent hundreds of dollars per unit to put this UI on this thing that doesn't really tell you anything. Anyways, not to get my blood pressure back up, so we went to bed.
Because it was up this morning.
And we get up to bed this morning, and I'm greeted by the refrigerator still making this noise. And I need to be very clear. The noise wasn't that loud, and you could tell it was just that the compressor was on and it was like running full high speed because
it was a hum. The pitch of the motor was a little off, and I noticed stuff like that. So
normally, this refrigerator you can't even hear it run.
Right.
So when you hear it, then it's like got 2 speeds, high and low.
Now I did make
ice.
I did use up all the ice yesterday. That's right. And so I knew it might be making ice more than normal last night. Several.
Yeah, because this thing's got a computer, all this kind of crap in it.
I used a lot of ice, so it may have been making ice last night, which is not something it does every night.
Well, what set me off this morning and got me pretty agitated is, I said, well, this is great. It has this incredible UI panel on it, but yet I am going to have to go over and find the PDF. I could have looked for the book that came with the printed book, but
well, who the heck knows where that is?
So I found the PDF, and I found how to set the temperature of the freezer, because I figured the refrigerator was 37. The fresh food part was 37 degrees. That's about what we have it set at. I was on the assumption that the reason it was working hard is because it was -10 degrees in the freezer.
Right,
so
it went from -5, -6 at bedtime to -10 this morning, and so then Dawn was really hot.
Yeah. And so I said, well, last night when I thought I had set it to 0 degrees, which is what we run it at, I must not push the little right button on the right little UI to do all that, so obviously I don't know how to set it. Well, so I go look in the book, and the book says, oh, you just push the button and you can toggle between anywhere from about +5 to -10 degrees. So you just push it, and when it shows the number you like, you take your finger off the thing. I said, well,
that's what I did.
That's what I did. Well, then why is it -10 when I set it to 0? And then I said, well, there's this little snowflake thing over here on the side. I said, what is the snowflake doesn't say anything. It just is a snowflake. It's a very pretty snowflake.
It's blue.
I'm sure Samsung engineer, graphic designer probably spent a couple months designing the perfect little snowflake that conveys absolutely no information.
The snowflake is not Dawn's friend.
Yeah, so I said, well, let me look in the book and see what, and so I found the snowflake in the book. On the UI, it explains, it says, oh, it's in power freeze mode. So when you get home
from the grocery store
with a lot of frozen food things, you know, you could put it in fire and it gets it really cold really quick. Well, it says power freeze once activated runs for several hours and then turns off. Well, this was
over 8 hours.
Over 8 hours. I mean, I said, well, how many is a few hours? I assume 8 hours would be a few hours relative to the 3 years we've owned it. So if you go to the total number of hours we've owned it, 8 hours would be
now take a breath because I
turned off freeze mode and it has now settled down. The long story short,
it's back to 0 degrees.
Yes, everything's back. The refrigerators, everything's
You
fine.
don't want to make the refrigerator feel you don't appreciate it. Massage it. Yes, yes.
God.
But anyway, it has the manual now where you on drive where you can get to the manual quicker next time, because we had to take a picture of the model number and go find the manual online and all that. Yeah, this was Dawn dealing with this before coffee this morning.
Right.
It was not good. It was not good.
Yes. And a couple, 4 or 5 nights ago, Marianne says, hey, how do I make the dishwasher do something? Because she had opened the door and it beeped funny or something.
The dishwasher we like. It cleans great. It hasn't given us any problems yet.
That's right.
Knock on wood.
It's been perfect.
It's easy enough to unload and load. It hasn't gotten stained inside. There's been no downs except for if you open the door after you hit the start, you put it on delay wash. You open every night because I don't like to hear it while I'm working on the videos. It's really quiet, but the noise is there's a little bit of noise at 1 or 2 a.m. I don't want to hear it, so Don delays it to come on at like 4 a.m. He just does the math and he hits 3 hours or something from when we go to bed, 3 or 4 hours. But if you open it up, you have to go back through this sequence to restart it or something. And it's just like, if Don has set it to start at 4 a.m. and I stick a spoon in it, when I close the door, just go back into the mode you were in. Don't make me have to I can't.
But you have to do all this.
You have to do this other stuff. And that's the one thing I would change. If the person has set it, you got to power it off. It either stays on delay start when you shut the door back, or I have to power it off to cancel it. I don't want this in between. I've got to reinitiate it sort of thing.
I got it. These are all first world problems. I understand that.
Right, but Don's point was, here's why I went and grabbed the video camera.
Look, Tesla said, if you get in a Mercedes or a BMW or any other car from any other manufacturer, it's got all these wonderful buttons and it has a touch screen now and most of them. But the point is, they've redesigned that button. How much money have they spent redesigning these buttons and for the new dash layout? They've done all, and I get it, that has some of the appeal. But I think Tesla has the right idea. Screw all that. Just put it on the touch screen. End of discussion. Don't have to waste all this time and frustration. Oh, well, what does that... Because I've had it driving other cars. I've had the... when I drove the I-Pace, I swear to God, when I drove the I-Pace, if...
Ben hadn't been helping us with the knobs.
Telling me, oh, well, that's the traction, that's the auto, that's this... All these little... They don't help... They don't tell me anything. They don't explain to me what the going... So here's where I'm going is... I think we need to get rid of all these UIs on our home appliances. That fancy screen on that Samsung and the LG, just get rid of all of them. I just want to use A to do all that. Or G to do all that. I just want to say, hey, set the freezer temperature to 0, please. Or what's going on with the freezer? I'm in power mode. Power freeze mode. Or... Hey, turn the dishwasher on at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, we have this LG app for the new dishwasher, but I can't tell A to do anything, and so...
Why just get rid of all those things? You know, I get it. You have an on-off button on the dishwasher. I get that for, you know,
safety.
Safety or whatever. You have an on-off button on. I mean, we've got a washing machine. It has 4,250 cycles. It has 30 light bulb LEDs on it between it and the dryer.
Don keeps thinking he's going to fix me on the next appliance, and I keep saying no.
No, and the point is, all these UIs, these companies. The point I'm trying to get, all these companies are trying to come up with these UIs. As I just, both Marianne's been frustrated with her LG, and I've been frustrated with it too, but I've now since learned it. Same thing with the refrigerator. It was a frustration thing is, the other day, what was the dryer? The dryer didn't dry the clothes. Kitten, why did the dryer not dry the clothes?
Because when we cleaned it, we accidentally bumped the knobs.
We accidentally bumped the knob.
We had it on 34 minutes. We accidentally bumped some knobs when we were cleaning. And it was like on 34-minute short cycle for a full load, and they just didn't get dry. Don was worried for a second that the heating element, we messed it up, but that wasn't what was wrong.
Right.
Thank God.
I got an email this very morning from GE. It says, oh, by the way, the GE appliance, the GE home app is going away into June. Please install this new app. It isn't called GE. It's called something totally different. And it says it's gonna basically all the GE things are gonna go together. What I'm trying to get at is, we've got every manufacturer, every car manufacturer is trying to come up with a UI for their cars. You know, buttons and knobs and all this. They're spending all this brain power, and that raises the cost of their car. We've got every appliance manufacturer trying to come up with a control panel, and then of course on top of that come up with an app. I say let's just stop. Let's come up with an API for the device that talks to the cloud, that also talks to A or G, and quit everybody development. Because if you get to here, let me explain how many parts are in the refrigerator. You have an ice maker on or off. You have a freezer, it's too cold or too hot. You have a refrigerator, it's too cold or too hot. You even have a little light and stuff. All those things, they're just simple binary on-off type things. You could just simply, the intelligence, the software could be somewhere else. And you could simply, the cloud could say, the temperature's a little warm in the refrigerator, turn it on now. Turn on the compressor, run it on high. All those things could be controlled from the cloud. You could then pull up the cloud app and get infinite number of detail. I told Marianne, well, I'd like to see a log on all the buttons that were pressed on the thing, so I could go back and says, oh, yeah, we put it in power freeze mode. Because did it go, she thinks she remembers, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to see that? But we'll never get that. And the app on the phone's never going to tell you. The only way it's going to tell you is you own the software that controls the refrigerator. So I want my refrigerator company to put a compressor in there with the on-off switch, a light on there with an on-off switch, an ice maker with an on-off switch, and I'll tell the thing with my software when to turn all that on and when to turn all that off.
So the short story, the long story here is I shouldn't let my butt touch up against the refrigerator shoulder.
I think your elbow.
Yeah, it's a little low for it to be your hip or your backside.
Yeah.
But
don't use touch screens.
Right, Don. For Don, it's either got to be old school knob.
Yep.
Or he wants a touch screen. He doesn't want this other sort of half touch screen sort of thing.
I don't want the pretty stuff.
Right.
The elegantly designed, but I have no idea what
to do with that. Yeah, I mean the top of the LG, that little flat panel across the top, I don't know what to do with that. There's a power and there's a start, and really all that other mess is like, Donnie.
Just like we're in the Tesla.
I'd have to figure it out.
I said, Marion, I don't know what that does. There's a little eye next to the setting on most of the little things, and
most of them have more information.
And you can touch the little eye, and it says, "Oh, well, this does this, and this." Well, somebody explain how you're going to put that little eye on the dishwasher. With it has
that is a benefit to the touchscreen over these UIs.
Right. So, and of course, the integration voice commands is, to me, is of course what Tesla's doing. They're trying to say,
Right. I was gonna say all things to be fair in this discussion. If we want to come back full circle to Tesla and how we enjoy the touchscreen in the car, is that Don and I, even at 3-year drivers now, we still have to, what's that under kitten, he'll say to me while he's driving. I want to find out or go look at this setting for me. Where is that, is what he usually says. Right. And I am much better than him at remembering what things are under. However, since there's only like, 10 things over there on the left, it's not too, this pretty quick to find it, even if you don't know. So I think Tesla's done a good job in revamping the UI to simplify it, and things are easier to find than they used to be, but sometimes Don can't find stuff. And the more they can add the voice stuff, I know they're trying. You know, I said in the first month of ownership, please put A in the car. There's a video out there where I went on for like 30 minutes about how we needed to have A in the car, and we still don't totally have A in the car, except for I've tried a couple of plugins that they work if they don't disconnect. They work great if they're not disconnected from the phone. They get disconnected from the phone more than I want. Right. So Don, who gets frustrated pretty easy, I think we've established that, he goes to ask A to turn on the lights when we come home and it's dark outside on the parking pad, and then my phone will be disconnected and they don't turn on, and I frustrated him, trying to not frustrate him. But anyway, Tesla can do a better job with the voice stuff. All of the voice stuff, it's not consistent enough that it just works when people need it to. Right. And they added a bunch of things, and I'm sure they'll be added. But at least they're moving in the right direction. Because what Don and I are saying about our house is, and I doubt we would be willing to fork out money to replace all the appliances that are still properly working. Right. But we want to be able to walk through the house, and we just want to talk out loud and tell it what we want it to do. We don't want to have to touch a bunch of buttons on any appliance in the house at this point. Right, and exactly correct. And the other thing I'd like to say is that all the useful the engineers or the designers are trying to design a very attractive and appealing front panel, or whatever you want to call this UI on the appliance. They're working hard. They're spending all that money, and the whole point is you're actually frustrating the user, i.e. the dryer. Granted, we figured it out, but the whole point, if that panel wasn't there, we could have pulled up the phone app, or we could have just told it to reset or something. The conveyance of the LEDs aren't really more buttons and lights don't necessarily improve the experience, hence the refrigerator. And the top of the dishwasher. I told Marianne I'd rather have my old Sears Kenmore refrigerator. It had a knob in there. No knobs. And I could just twist the dial, baby. He keeps on putting me on notice about the next appliance, and then I bat my eyelashes at him when we go to the store and say, I can't deal with that, Donnie, and he sucks it up and he gets the one his wife wants. She wants all the things. Tried that with the last several appliances. Oh, it has an LED light. Oh, it's lights up. And look, we know Samsung had the other refrigerator with the big screen, but that wasn't going to fix this thing, and it was so proprietary to Samsung, it was useless. That's right. Unless you wanted to totally be in bed with Samsung. Right. So we said no. If it would have been an Android tablet, right? We could have lived with Home with a Samsung app on the Android tablet. With that, I would have done it, but I would have shot the extra money and got it. But when I read that it's Samsung and Samsung proprietary, and the only thing that could go on there is it's kind of like Apple, whatever, it's just Apple, or I don't want anything that's proprietary like that. Yep. I just want you to know that your technology girl and your Tesla diva is feeling very diva-ish about the lights in the garage. Uh-oh. Just want to tell A to turn them on and off. I went out there to grab a piece of meat from the freezer, so I did remember to hit only one of the fluorescents, and I got the one on the freezer side, But then in the middle of doing that, there was Project Creep, and I decided I needed to vacuum a little something I saw on the floor. And then I was bent over with the vacuum cleaner, irritated that I didn't have the lights on the other side of the garage on, so I had to stop and go. I know it's another first world problem. Now look, I get the complexity of adding a control to the lights out there. It's a 5-switch plate on the inside of the door, upstairs lights down. I mean, I get all of that, but you know, ever for Christmas or something, I can't tell you the number of times. Once you start voice controlling lights, it's a spiral. Like you said, you just want on our theme for the day about complaining about first world problems with appliances and now lights. So you know, you give that some food for thought, Donnie. Okay.
I couldn't agree more. We need we'll put it on the Christmas list, because those lights are on a 3-way switch, so that's about $60 per side, so that's $120 to control both sides of the downstairs. And then the upstairs is actually worse, because
well, I'm not so worried about upstairs. I could even settle for phase 1, just the downstairs part, because it's pretty easy to you know, you're going upstairs, the light switch is really convenient in the stairwell or right inside the door. But downstairs, it's like, well, which one do I really want, and am I really only going to stay on one side or the other? And anyway, I'm just a little food for thought.
Yeah. Well, I will. I'll give it some thought, because there might be a like we do with the 4-way lights in the den. You know, we just put those colored floodlights up, and I had not replaced those because that's like $100 worth of
switching.
That's right, smart switches. Basically, 1 smart switch and 2 slave switches. So it's right at $100 to control that, and I really wasn't worth $100 just for that. But then you say, oh, but I really like the color lights. And I said, well, you know, the color lights are Wi-Fi controlled, and that Wi-Fi control thing is very handy. We can just leave the 4-way switches on. The lights are on with the switch, and that to me makes almost more sense for that solution, because we got the bulbs and you got colors for $30, or it was actually $20. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Those 2 bulbs were very inexpensive.
Right.
And it solved our problem. And the only issue is if we accidentally forget to turn and we turn off, then the Wi-Fi won't work. But then you just go flip any of the 4-way switches on, and then they'll work again. So you know, you have to learn. So the problem with the downstairs garage, we're constantly flipping that. Whereas the den is easier. I guess what I'm trying to say is there might be something we can do that's less expensive, but because those are 3 ways, because each side of the garage door, the right and the left door has a light switch that allows you to turn on and off the downstairs lights, and that's the complication. As I said, it's you know, like $60 a side, so it's $120 to do the downstairs. And yeah, I don't know, you know, maybe for a Christmas present or something like that, you can get me, you know, 2 sets of that stuff. But it's just that's on the expense side.
I like the route if you figure out some Wi-Fi chip you can put up in the fixture.
Right. Well, yes, exactly correct. So today I don't feel like much digging out there, but there is a nice breeze, and I have my fan here, and so I'm gonna move the radio arm saw from the temporary bench or stand that I built out of lumber to the new steel stand and rollers, just to kind of start moving in that direction, because as I told Marianne, if this stand doesn't work well, I need to know that.
Right. So Don's going to assemble the the stand, not the wheels, but the stand part in here, the one we got at Harbor Freight the other day.
Right.
That's the first part of this process.
You know, it's nice finish on it.
My question for Dawn was, are these washers, nuts, actually going to stay on the screws, or is he going to be retightening this for forever? And he said they've got nylon. They should stay tight. So that would be good. I also was sort of sitting here keeping him company, minding my own business, and I had to resist going into the Tesla app and honking the horn just for the fun of it.
Girl, she's always just cutting up.
Yeah, I really wouldn't probably do that to Dawn, but I think about doing it. There's a big difference between thinking about it and actually doing it. I have...
That girl's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Don has the stand part together, and now he's getting out one of the wheel kits. And this thing is 26.5 by 28.5 at the bottom, basically. And the wheelbase can go up to 33 by 33.
Oh, it doesn't color match. Oh, no.
But it's coordinating gray and black. I mean, you know, come on now.
Oh, no, come on. That's pretty sad. They don't even put the wheels on the... I'm like going to have to put the whole thing together.
Some assembly required. We love giving Dawn a hard time at Christmas because, you know, ever since we moved in, every Christmas somebody needs either something assembled or there's some computer thing that's, you know, a hardship. So
Anyways, these brake chains are pretty slick.
yeah. So we may order a third one, and Dawn is hoping today to decide, yes, I like this wheel thing, and I'm going to order a third one so all three will be the same, or no, I don't like these that much, and I'm going to try somebody else's.
Correct.
I'm headed in Ruby to the environmental park to play Pokemon, and when I come back, I'm going to pull her behind the van because that's in the shade right now, and that'll let Dawn get that cart out of the garage after he's done getting it together. Bring it over to the carport area where he can actually take the radio alarm saw off of its current platform and try to move it to the new stand. Wow, there's like nobody over here today. I'm a bit surprised. Ruby says it's 85 out here, so I only see one other vehicle. And it looks like it's me, but it's not. Me and my van, but it's not. So you ready to test it out?
Of course.
Way cool.
Yeah.
You do? Were you out in the heat?
Yes.
Really? You left your computer.
Yes.
Look what you did. Wow, look what you did. That's awesome, buddy. That's perfect. You did great. I like where you put him. You did great. Hi, Uncle Sam. Way cool. Good job, buddy. Good job. Come here, Gray. Come sit with me and Johnny. Usually she gets up on my right and I'm scooted over, so let me move. And then maybe she'll come up to her spot. Come on, Gray. Come on, Gray. Come on. If you want attention, you're going to have to come up. Well, you did an excellent job, buddy. We moved over here out of the sun. It was a little too hot over there where Uncle Sam is. Very cool. Johnny and I have our girl between us. She did come up and she is really enjoying some attention. She loves her people and she likes her bench. So Don was very careful with the measurement so that he knows that this will go through the sliding shed door. Had to be less than what, Donnie? 31 inches? 30.5 inches?
Yeah, it's, let's put it this way. If they're 31.6 or whatever inches is correct, then this will go through because it's 30.5.
Okay, so you technically have about an inch to spare.
Technically have about an inch to spare.
Well, as it turns out, the top black stand does not actually have holes in the little flaps at the bottom of the legs. And even if it did, it doesn't come out as far as the holes in this base with the wheels on it does.
Right, the holes in the mobile stand, they don't line up with the black, the equipment stand. So I didn't, I could have drilled holes and all that stuff. My girl, she's way smart. She said, why not, she got all those big old washers up there. So why don't you just use the big
Overlap.
Use the big washer and capture the thing. Capture the black stand to the mobile cart, and that's what I did. So I went and got some big old washers, which I have a lot of.
Yeah, well, I'd say that overlap is sufficient to be
it's not gonna,
plenty sturdy.
it's not gonna come out.
I suspect that was the easy part. So that's how you get the leveler and basically the brake so that it won't take off on you. There's one on each side. Hey, buddy. Hi. Hi. It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. Don's probably not going to mount it today, but he is going to do some measurements and just try to sort out, think through how it's going to go on the stand. Make sure that's going to work, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, the kicker is the door is only 31 inches wide. So obviously that's 31.5. So it can't go in sideways. I guess I could technically turn this. So it's 28 inches from back to front to right here. This thing actually hangs off.
Right.
Right now, of course, I made this table as 30 inches.
Well, that was smart thinking on your part.
Right. Well, this is just, this is a consumable.
Yeah.
You saw this a few times and you put another one on it. You could technically probably lift this off. You know, it's anyway. So so the long and the short of it is, it will go in there right now. So I don't remember. Oh yeah, okay. So I bolted it. I got a bolt here and a bolt on the other side. Now imagine I gotta pop a couple drywall screws in back here. Yeah, there's a drywall screw there and a drywall screw on the other side. So this thing is drywall screwed in the rear and it's bolted in the front. Now this base on this thing is the steel metal base is, well, I guess it really depends on where you want to measure it from.
Yeah.
It's 22 inches by 18 and a half inches. So 22 by 18 and a half. So there's your 18 and a half. And there's your 22. 21. So that's pretty sweet right there, 18 and a half.
Wow.
So I guess it's gonna
Fit fine.
It's going to fit pretty good. Yeah, that really is 18 and a half. Now I'm going to feint. I'm going to feint now. I'm going to just keel over and feint if these holes line up with the holes in the bottom of that radio arm saw. I'm just going to go on just like...
Don's feeling froggy now, like this might just work without it turned it into a thing. I'm not jinxing you, am I?
I hope not, sweetie. I'm going to go get my net driver.
Okay.
Wow. Technically, I don't have to feint.
Right.
I can keep working.
Which holes line up, Donnie?
Yeah, the holes that I was technical, I was thinking this hole back here.
Right, or in the front or the back.
This hole back here. Yeah,
Right,
those don't line up.
But
this hole right here, over here on the side, and this hole over on this side,
they line up.
They line up. But I wasn't talking about those because I didn't even know those holes existed.
Right, we were thinking front or rear holes because there were options.
I was focusing on where I had put my drywall screws, and I was thinking those holes will never line up. And technically, I was right.
And it sits on here nice. The back of this thing obviously is where all the weight is. So Don wants the rear actually sitting full flush on the back.
In fact, I'm probably going to slide it forward. These holes are elongated.
Yeah.
Slightly elongated.
So you can move it at like a centimeter or something.
Half an inch.
Yep.
Yeah, I want it as far. The more forward it is, the better, in my opinion.
Okay. It's not going anywhere, but we do have the brake on it. We looked at a couple of these, and I told Don, I said, we got to get the one with the brake. Because it's not really level over here under the carport. I mean, you don't want a perfectly level driveway or water will puddle somehow. You need to have a slight slope so the water runs off and you don't get puddles. Don's going to take me up to Home Depot. I admit it, I'm going back for that hydrangea. Hey, Donnie.
Hey, pretty girl. You ready for date night?
Yes.
It's Saturday night. Got to go to Home Depot.
They had 25 of them yesterday. Now there are two. Well, this one looks perfectly fine. And it's not 100% open, so that will work. But, you know, I could have had 25 to choose from. And
You don't want both of them?
yeah, I'm sure. Thank you, though. Ooh. Ooh. Looks good. I can smell how good that watermelon is. That's great. Yep. So we saw one person at Lowe's that had 3 of those tuxedo hydrangeas in their cart.
Yeah, at Home Depot.
That was after I picked up one of the last 2 remaining. So, yeah.